What up, everybody? Hope y'all out there having a blessed and wonderful day. As always, remember two things. It's a good day to be alive, but an even better day to be great. So get up and get to the grind, whatever that may be
For you.
you. All right. Like I said, all the guests on my podcast, they might not be special to you guys, but they're special to me. So I want to introduce you guys to a very close friend of mine's, Ember. All right. So this is
Hello.
Ember, and we have a very interesting start to our initial like first meeting or relationship, and we'll get into that, but just for a little bit of clarity, just kind of inform the people a little bit like who you are, what you do, a little bit of your background, and then we'll get into me being a drill sergeant in your life.
Okay. Well, I do a lot of healing work. I do life coaching, hypnosis. I teach tapping. I do breath work. And I do newborn hearing screenings at the hospital. So I do a lot of different things. I teach yoga. I like to experience lots of different things.
You have your hands in a lot. Do you
Yeah.
know the saying, the jack of all trades?
Mhm.
All right. Do you know the full saying?
I know what you tell me, where I'm like the master of everything. I'm the master of none or something.
Yeah, but do you know that they cut that saying off?
Oh.
So it goes, a jack of all trade is the master of none. And everybody pushes that.
Yeah.
But they cut that saying off. It's the jack of all trade is a master of none, but the jack of all trades is better than a master of one.
Mm.
And it's like you gotta think of like the way you live life is like, is life very like linear? Is it only one way? It's like, no, it's not. It's many ways up the mountain, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a thing when I was growing up. I was like, I gotta master something. I gotta master something. It's like, if you're gonna master anything, master yourself, and it'll allow you to master everything.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. So let's jump right into our first initial, how we kind of like built a friendship and like where it started to where it's at now, and me being the hard ass, the drill sergeant, the drill sergeant that I am. But I know initially, so you were starting out doing jiu-jitsu, and you don't give off jiu-jitsu vibes.
No, I've never done sports before. That was like my first intro.
Yeah. So it was like, you seemed very like hesitant to like just be on the mat. It's a very nerve-wracking thing. And I used to say jiu-jitsu's for everyone, but it's not. It's not. Let's just be honest. Like, it's not. It's very close quarters. It's grown people sweating in each other's face and eyes and mouth, wearing pajamas, and like you're very close contact. And it's not for everyone, but I wish everyone would at least give it a shot for 3 or 4 years. It could save your life if we were in like a self-defense situation or something like that. But I come to the realization, like, people would rather just fend for their life and hope that nothing ever happens than to dedicate 3 to 5 years of being uncomfortable. So what were your thoughts when you first walked into Miller Martial Arts and you got Cole with his coffee? Moon with his smile.
I pulled up and I sat in the parking lot and I looked at what I thought were all military men walking in, and I thought, I am so out of place. I'm so out of place. I was so nervous. And I went in and I thought it was going to be like Taekwondo, because I had done Taekwondo very briefly, and I did not realize we were going to be on top of each other and like in all these positions. And so I was a little floored, but I had committed to trying new things. That was like my theme of the year, trying new things.
He was like, try new things, be
overcoming fear. Yes. And I got in the car and cried. Like, literally, I did. And the next time I came back, I was like, I'm coming back. I'm doing it again. And I ended up telling Cole that I wish more women would do this, because there is, I don't know, we were going to go here, but there's a lot we store in our bodies emotionally. And when you're put in those different positions, I think it can be really, really healing and empowering for women.
Yeah.
And I wish more women did it. And so I cried the second night, and I told him, I said, you need to do like a women's class or something.
Yes.
Yes.
So go out there and tell all your women friends, because we have 5 women students, and y'all want us to do a women's class, and y'all 5 don't even show up on the same class. Okay, so you want something solely for yourself, but we don't have the community for it.
Yeah.
We do, but I think another thing is, I have a double-edged sword with awareness, because people think awareness is a cure. It's not. and let me give you, I'm an extreme person. People like, oh, look at all this crazy stuff going on in this other country. If I post a story about it, I'm helping out. No, you're not. No, you're not. That person is still over there dying. I understand the sentiment of you feeling for them.
Yeah.
But is your feelings doing anything? So my mom raised me, and she said one of her favorite sayings is, if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. And if you do nothing, you're a part of the problem. So like, yeah, it feels good to say like, you know, pray for these people or this or that. It's cool, but what are you doing? Because if you really care that much, you would put action and your time and energy to it.
Yeah.
And I say that to say this is, in my years of training martial arts, I'm 33 now. I didn't get into it seriously until about 21. So you're talking about 13 years now, consistently. Like I left my jobs to do this full time. So when people like train twice a week and they miss one day and they're like, where you been all week? I'm like, I've been at the gym. Where have you been? You missed the day. I'm here 6 days a week. 7 because I clean on Sundays. But 3 very particular stories from women stick out the most. 3 different women in 3 different eras of life too. The first one was I was a blue belt, and shout out to my original gym, Mama Millersville Academy of Mixed Martial Arts. We had a couple come in, and it was a wife and a husband, and great couple. They were awesome, and one of the first classes is like a beginner level class. You learn about the positioning.
Yeah.
And the wife is paired with her husband because it's uncomfortable already. So he's like, that's going to make it more comfortable. Just pair with your husband or another lady. But they paired together. And she didn't tell us till about 3 years later or 4 years later after she got her blue belt. She stuck it out.
Yeah.
And her husband did it. You know who you are, Shannon. I'm calling you out. All right. But she's like, yeah, I realized at that moment, like, this is my husband and he's in side control and he's holding me down. And I love this man. And I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And that was like her like realization. Like, I don't care how comfortable this is. Imagine if it wasn't my husband.
Right.
Right? So people don't have an extreme way of thinking, but I'm like, hey, if I'm always stretching for these extreme things in my life, the little bad day, the normal day doesn't faze me because I'm always like knocking on death's door.
Yeah.
People look at it as morbid. I look at it, it allows me to live every single day. People say like, this is the true test of life. If I said, hey, Moon, you're going to die Saturday. What are you going to do today? I'm like, oh, cool. Tomorrow I'll have a private with Tom.
Yeah.
I'm going to train Jiu-Jitsu. Probably going to see my family. Then I'm going to teach Muay Thai. And then I'm going to do another private with Tom on Thursday. Then I'm going to train Jiu-Jitsu again. And then I'm not going to skip Muay Thai because I love clinch on Friday. So maybe I'll eat a burger or watch a movie or something. It's like, I'm going to do the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
Because I love it.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It doesn't mean that, oh, when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Lies! Yes. Yeah. You have to work hard for the things you love, right? Think of that as a person. I love you. We're together. Now stop working hard for you. So,
right.
No. So that was the first story. The second story was, you know, I'm very abrasive. I can be very, not pushy, but very stern. Blunt.
Matter of fact.
Let me tell you the truth, regardless if it hurts your feelings. I do this especially with strangers. It sets a boundary. So you know, like, hey, you're full of shit. And I see it. Now you can decide to keep lying and I'll just go the other way or not. So I'm the general manager of Millersville Academy of Mixed Martial Arts. And we're in a college town. A lady calls and it's an instructor. I don't know. I just hear it's a lady's voice. I'm checking the emails. Oh, she sent in a free trial. I call her. She's like, hey, do you guys have like a women's only self-defense? And my instant response, because I'm a smart ass, I'm like, we're probably not going to get this lady. I was like, well, in the self-defense situation, is a woman going to be the only one attacking you? That was the first interaction that we've ever had. And it just got quiet. And I was like, fuck, we just lost a member. But I was like,
it's true. Yeah.
And then she was like, no, I didn't think of that. And I was like, well, look. We have Muay Thai, we have Jiu-Jitsu, but we do a one-on-one intro before you even jump into group class. But we had, because we were in a college town, we had plenty, like, it was weird, like, because normally it's like 1 out of every 10, but we had like 3 out of every 10, like, or ladies, because we were in a college town. So I was like, hey, just come to the class. The owner's daughter had been training since she was 4. She was 17, so she was choking out grown-ass men every day.
Yeah.
She loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Catherine Mullis. All right. I called her Lady Rhino because our
Mm-hmm.
rhino was our like our
Logo.
logo.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, that's Lady Rhino. All right. She's like my little sister. And I'm like, hey, come in. Anytime it was a lady, if I could like feel that like they might feel it's uncomfortable, if they've never done jiu-jitsu, I'm like, hey, this is guard. You're gonna be in between some random guy's legs that you don't know, or this is mount. This does not.
Right.
This is like breaking barriers. I don't know you, but it's uncomfortable. And it's like, well, imagine if somebody threw you to the ground and got on top of you. You can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
So imagine how you're gonna react in that situation. So I told her, I said, hey, look, come in. Anytime it was a lady that called, all right, Catherine would open up the gym with me, and then I would do a private, and I would have Catherine do the moves with her, so they can feel more comfortable. I'm like, hey, I don't want you to think that like anything crazy. I'm not unaware of things that happen in the real world. I don't know your past traumas, so like let's make this as comfortably uncomfortable as it can get.
Right.
She ended up being one of our star students.
Oh, wow.
She came. She was like, you know what? Kind of had that same mentality. Like, I didn't know what I didn't know, and I want to know some stuff. So she trained for like 6 months. She like bruised her rib, and she couldn't train for doctor told about 4 weeks. So she came into every class, sat down and watched and took notes. Wow. And I was like, she was committed to improving because defending herself was important. Yeah. And she was a teacher, so she moved to another country in South America because she was a professor at a university. So she moved to another country in South America, and she wrote us an email after she left and was like, you guys changed my life. I'm going to practice jiu-jitsu. You know, like it opened up my eyes to world self-defense, you know, and that was, you know, big for me. I was like, oh, it opened my eyes. One lady I know personally came from South America to us, but she was a student that traveled all around, you know, for a job. And she talked about a time that like she got attacked. And then that was her like, oh, I need to go do this. So it was like everyone had a different reason why they were in the gym, but you never know what anyone's there for, and it's always going to be uncomfortable. So anytime I see someone, I'm like, okay, it's a lady. Like, I'm not going to pacify you. Yeah. But I'm not going to be like, you gotta go. Like, you know, you got to know the barrier of entry. So I saw that you were, I didn't know you cried the first day.
Oh, I waited till I got to my car. I was like, do not cry in here. Do not cry in here. I'll never come back. So I did it twice, but I kept going. And I'm glad that I did. Obviously, I'm not training right now.
What kept you going? I'm curious. You go to your car, you cry, you tell yourself, I'm going to be uncomfortable. People tell me that all the fucking time. And I'm like, shut up. Just go do something uncomfortable. Don't try and tell the person who lives a life of discomfort because you're just trying to get validation. Go do it. Like, this is cool, but like action's better. What made you come back? Don't say me or Cole. Or Jesse.
I was trying to do things that made me uncomfortable. I really wanted to learn the self-defense, but I also wanted to do things not just for the sake of being uncomfortable, but things that I was drawn to. And I had a coach tell me once, because I like, you know, you do something uncomfortable and eventually it gets more comfortable. And I asked her, I was like, God, I'm so tired of being uncomfortable. Like, how many times do I have to do this? And she's like, Ember, you never stop. Like, it's like Pilates. You stretch and you stretch till you can't stretch anymore. And then you go a little more. And I was like, okay, so that was just my mentality when I signed up. I was like, all right, I'm doing this. And it's so far from who I've been. And it was so different. But yeah, I was proud that I like put myself out there and was doing it.
Yeah, that was starting is always the hardest part, but I think people use that as a crutch. Like, oh, I started it now. Like, when is it gonna get easy? And I'm like, think of it like this: you pick up 100 pounds today, and it's hard, right? And then you pick it up for 10 years. Does it ever stop becoming 100 pounds?
No, because you keep going up.
No. If you just picked up that 100 pounds, but now it gets easier to move. Yeah. The 100 pounds was always the 100 pounds. Yeah. You just learned to deal with it. Your body adapted, adjusted, you got stronger. Now, obviously, if you want to move 150 pounds, you're going to eventually have to do that. And then that's going to feel hard. Like, I do all these what people would consider crazy workouts, and they see me like, oh my God, you're so strong. I did a squat today. It's called a Zerker squat. I weigh 155.
Mm-hmm.
I did 255. So that means I have 255 pounds loaded in my arms, pulling me forward.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm trying to squat with it and bring it back up. And I did it. I was like, all right, guys, like, dude, that's like impressive. I was like, it's not really that impressive. I want to go for 3.
Yeah.
But I remember when I struggled with 135 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no one sees that. Like,
Yeah.
you had your moment where you came in the gym, you were uncomfortable, and then you
Mm-hmm.
went out and you're like, oh my God, it sucks. Hopefully tomorrow won't suck. And then tomorrow you come be like,
Oh,
fucking sucked, just
Yeah.
like yesterday.
Yeah.
So did you ever hit that point where it just didn't suck, or it always kind of was just like you just learned to deal with it?
It sucked for different reasons, I feel. Like the first time it sucked because I didn't know what I was doing. I was so uncomfortable and it just was a new situation.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually it just sucked because I feel like my brain does not compute what Cole is saying. Most of the time it feels, I told him, I was like, it's like you're speaking Chinese. I really don't understand. But I learned,
Jiu-Jitsu.
well, I just feel like we're speaking 2 different languages.
We are.
Yeah. But I learned something really important about myself because he would tell me, he's like, not yelling, but Cole yelling at me to do something. And I'm like, Cole, I'm doing it. I swear I'm doing it. And I finally was like, okay, show me what you want to do me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed me. And I said, okay, now show me what I'm doing. Because I thought I was doing it, but I saw and oh, okay. And it was like a little switch. And I think the same thing when you were training me and stuff. It's like, okay, wait, I feel like I'm doing things. Show me what I'm doing because I have to see the difference. Yeah. So I learned something about myself.
That's a big thing. So I literally tell people, Jiu-Jitsu is the art of control that leads to submission.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about that, that means I want to try to control someone to a point to where I can submit them. I can tap them out, choke them out, break an arm, leg, limb, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But we're always trying to control the other person, and you don't really understand that. It starts with controlling yourself. Like when he showed you what to do and showed you what you were doing, you didn't have enough body control or self-awareness to say, he said, hey, just put your hand there, do this. And you're like, I am. And he's like, no, you're not. I can see it. And you're like, I am. You're like,
yeah.
So think about that. Someone right now is telling you exactly what to do, verbatim, what to do with your body. And you're like, I am, but you're not doing it. That's right there. Personal, right? Yeah. Imagine how often you go through life where, let's go the inverse. And I see this with parents all the time. Telling their kids to do something that, number one, that they don't do. Be patient. Be quiet.
Yeah.
Focus. Do this. And I'm like, Todd, if kids learn directly from their environment and you want them to do all the things that you don't do. Yeah. So don't tell them, show them. That's how kids learn, right? Yeah. And I'm like, then think of like in society, people are always, oh, you just go to a job, you just do this. And people are like, I am doing it. It's like, no, let your ego go and understand that you're not fucking doing it. Yeah. And in order to do a lot of things, you have to have self-awareness to know like where you are, where you're at. So you know where you want to go. And that's a big part of jiu-jitsu. We talk about like the back being the most dominant position. It's like anytime you roll with Cole, he finds a way to get to the back. He knows where he's at and where he wants to go because he's self-aware of where he is, and then he's aware of where your body positioning is. Yeah. And if you take that concept and you apply it to anything in life, it's like you can get there. Yeah. It's just the middle work. But we're gonna pivot because I think our fitness and health relationship is full of good stories. Yeah. I don't remember how many months it was into training, but you found out that I do fitness, I'm a personal trainer, I do nutrition, and you decided, hey, I want to hire you to do physical fitness. Yeah. What inspired that? Were you looking for an escape from jiu-jitsu, or did you just want to get better at physical fitness?
I wanted to get healthier. Okay. I signed up for jiu-jitsu in April, and we started training November 1st, which was my birthday. It was, okay. Yeah. And I thought, okay.
May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So you were doing about 6.5, 7 months, and then we got started.
But I asked about nutrition first, and they were like, oh, you got to talk to Moon. You got to talk to Moon. So we had sat down, we talked to nutrition. And I can't even remember how we ended up. I think you were just like, well, nutrition's only, part of it. You got to move your body. And
yeah. It's like anytime somebody tells me they want a goal, like this is the big big hurdle that I run into with personal training is you telling me you want something and you think you know what it is, but it's
Right.
not. You're like, hey, I want to be strong and this and this and lose weight. And I'm like, well, we're gonna lose the weight with just nutrition. But if you want to be strong and all this other stuff, you gotta
build muscle.
you gotta build muscle.
Yeah.
And what's a memorable moment from when we started? Because I have really good memory.
I have terrible memory.
I have really good memory. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be the only one talking. I want to hear from your perspective. What's some of the early moments that before we get into like where you really started to make progress, like early moments where I knew you wanted to quit. You were just like, oh man, this is rough, and I can feel that.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
Yeah.
I try not to be super hard, but I try and be realistic, right? I try to give it to you straight, but not like beat you over the head with it, unless you need it.
Yeah, no, you always called me out, didn't you, when I was giving up on myself. One of the earliest memories was when I was so frustrated, and I don't even remember what all was happening in my life, but it was like everything was happening, and I went into the gym. I didn't want to come into the gym. And I came and I was just in such a bad mood and I was feeling so upset. And I think I wasn't losing weight. I was like feeling terrible. I was tired. And you were like, oh, perfect. And I was like, what do you mean perfect? And I was so annoyed. And you were like, because we're in this week and we just did this sequence and now we're moving into this. And this is exactly where you were supposed to be. And that was like the best thing I had ever heard because I was so frustrated. And for you to be able to not just like blow smoke and tell me what I wanted to hear, but it was like you were so knowledgeable about it and told me why I was feeling that way and it shifted.
Yeah, it becomes this thing like when people want to work out, they think that once they start working out, oh yeah, 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 yeah. It's like nothing in life is linear. It's really not. Like so this is not a theory of mine. Time does not exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist, right? Because if you can go 1 to 100 this way, you can go 1 to 100 that way, you can go 1 to 100 that way, that way, that way, that way. You can go expand every way. And if you can go that way, you can go infinitely inward too. So then I had this thought process my whole entire life. And then I watched this damn series called Infinite Infinities. And I was like, I knew I wasn't crazy. Like these mathematicians breaking it down. I was like, I had this thought process and I had no idea about this. I used to always say, well, will you just cut that one in half and half and half and half and half? I'm like, can you go internally like forever? And it's like, then I watched this thing called Infinite Infinities. It's like, well, yeah, they have infinite infinities. I was like, my brain. And I watched it like 10 times over and over. And I was like, oh, so time isn't real.
Yeah.
And we can get to that another time. But another time, right?
Yeah.
All right. That's my little shtick, right?
Yeah.
But it is relative, right? Time is relative. And I remember our first hurdle. Our first hurdle was 3 weeks in. 3 weeks in. And I remember this because I said, hey, you cannot quit now. And you never said you wanted to quit, but you had dislocated your knee. And I was like, look, we just started.
Yeah.
I know you have a dislocated knee, but if you use this as a reason to quit, every time something comes up in your life, you're going to quit. And you looked at me and you were just like, I felt like you wanted to cry, but you kind of held it back. And you was like, I said, look, I'm not just certified as a personal trainer. I'm also certified as a corrective exercise, like coach as well. So like corrective exercise specialist. I know what's going on with I told you, when you get it checked out and you get the results, let me know.
Yeah.
But I'm like, just also as a mixed martial artist, anything that I put you through is not anything that I'm just saying I know I've been through.
Right.
I've had to work through injuries while still training. So it's every time I've had an injury, I found a way to get better. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this isn't working and I'm dominant on this side. Now I got to work on this side. I write in my gratitude journal every morning with my left hand. I'm not left-handed.
Oh, yeah.
I broke my right hand twice. And the first time I decided to use my left hand, I'm in the emergency room and the lady with a lovely, polite attitude is like, here, can you sign all these papers? And I'm like, I'm here for a broken hand. I'm right-handed. She's like, all right, well, if you give me permission, I can sign off for you. And I was just like, I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
I'll do a left hand. Just 'cause I'm like, I'm going to be here forever.
Yeah.
So however long it takes. And that was the start of it.
Yeah.
And then every day, I had this mental breakdown. And I journaled one night. I couldn't go to sleep, like 4 a.m. And I just had an emotional dump. I wrote like 4 pages of everything I hated.
Yeah.
And I eventually ran out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turned to shit that I loved. But I just was going at it. And I wasn't paying attention that it didn't look good. My right hand don't look good when I write. So it was just like, and I'm just like, oh shit, 5 pages in, I'm like, I'm writing with my left hand. And then I'm like, well, I draw. Let me see if I could draw with my left hand. And I went from like scrabbling stuff to like, I'll show you, like I have like full on drawings with my left hand. I had a cast on my right hand.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you told me you had this dislocated knee. And I was like, well, I told you, hey, I just started this program because I had a partially torn LCL before one of my fights. And I had to reconstruct how my legs were built, like, strengthen certain muscles. And I was like, look, that's when we started our backwards walking. Shout out to the HEG team. That whole team, from the back ability to knee ability, just they are doing great things, man. I can't say enough about them. But super affordable too. And I was like, hey, I'm doing these programs. I reconstructed my whole thing without, spending a lot of time in PT. I did a lot more on my own.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And you were so hesitant, but I was like, cool, we're not doing no squatting, no this, we're staying off the leg. We're going to do work on core, upper body, this, that, and the third. We're going to do all this other things. And then we hit like a mark where you got past that. And then my job is to push you. And I had a 12-week program, and it's by design that, hey, it's called a progressive overload. Progressive overload. Eventually you're going to get to a point to where like you're tapping out on stuff and like you have to rebound. Your body takes time to rebound. And then you've never done any strength training before we met. He was like, oh yeah, I don't know what like deadlifts and this. You told me, he's like, yeah, I don't know how to do it. I was like, yeah, don't worry about it. We'll build up strength.
Yeah.
And then we hit that period, and like when you told me like I'm not feeling well, I was like, oh, it's great. Like for me, I was like, you're not supposed to feel well right now. Like,
we're doing something.
Recovery is a painful process, and we always want things to feel good. And like, I grew up in a family full of women, and I'm a straight shooter, so I like to believe I know how to communicate with women probably a little bit better than the average Joe, because I grew up in a house full of them.
Yeah.
So it's just like, hey, my job is to be honest with you without like, but when you start telling me about how you feel and how you feel and how you feel, I'm like, I don't give a fuck how you feel if it's true. I'm going to keep it to you, and I'm going to tell you if it's true or not. And you just gave me the grace to be me, which I appreciated. You didn't like, whoa, bro, like you're going too hard. I'm telling you what you need to hear. Just it's coming from a very passionate place.
Yeah.
And
no, I always appreciated everything you said. And I feel like you pushed me just enough to where I didn't want to quit.
Yeah.
But you pushed me and called me out several times. I remember the flipping bench I had to one step up, and I thought, I can't like hold in your hand because I'm wobbling everywhere. And
the single leg step ups. Like everything's easy on 2 legs, and everybody thinks they're strong. And I'm like, hey, just do it on 1 leg. They're like, oh, okay. What the hell is like?
And then I couldn't even pick up the hex bar at first, and then we were adding 20 pounds, and
then 100, and then 120, and then like you started repping out strength reps, and like you had to get gloves so you didn't get calluses, and I was like, okay, like those are more shining moments for me than everybody wants to lose weight. And I'm like, you know how easy it is to lose weight? Just eat clean, drink water, get rest, like move. That's very simple.
Yeah.
You want to build muscle? That hurts. That takes time. But if you build muscle, a side effect of building muscle is burning energy, and fat is stored energy. And that was the whole reason when we met for our consultation. I was like, yes, we can get to the nutrition and stuff, but you're telling me you want to be strong. I want to be strong. I'm like, you're going to have to lift, okay?
Yeah.
And it's just like, we went through that process, and our journey, like, you started hitting really good numbers. And I remember you came to me after you lost like 25 pounds, but you didn't really understand that you lost 25 pounds because it was almost like a year. You were I want to hit this number. And I fucking
no concept.
Hate that, because people have this number in their head, and I'm like, when did you see that number? Well, when I was in college, I'm like, you ain't been in college in 15 years. What were you doing in college? Still growing. Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, were you an athlete? Yeah. You haven't been an athlete for 15 years. Like, don't tell me when you were in college. Tell me why you want to get to this number. I think I look good. That's a horrible goal.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be something tangible and worthwhile. And I almost tell everyone, I'm pretty sure I told you, it has to be able to get you out of bed when you're cold, sore, you don't want to do it. Like, it has to have enough to like drive. And I want to hit this number because I think it's going to make me feel good is a shitty fucking goal. I hate it. Part of what I do is teach people how to correctly goal set and how to get it. And it's called a stretch goal. If it's too far away, you feel like you can never get there. A stretch goal is just enough within reach, but then once you grab that one, it's enough to get to the next stretch goal. So I already planned all that out.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you just got to do whatever I say do when we're in person. But our program was training with me, was it twice a week? And then you had 1 or 2 days by yourself? It was like Monday, Wednesday. We did once a week?
We did once. Well, I think we did twice a week in the beginning, and then we eventually cut to once a week.
Yeah. I was like, hey, because you're like, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. I'm like, well, then I need to show you how to do this stuff because safety is paramount. And you already had a dislocated knee. You had some back stuff going on. And little did we know that would be just the start of the hurdles, right? So we'll kind of get into that if you're okay about talking with it. All right. So then we hit this point to where you made so much progress in the gym and your energy was just like kaput. It was like, I know what it's like to be in the gym with life in your head. Because as a fighter, every day, if I want to put the weights down, I can put the weights down.
Yeah.
But if I have to look another man in his face while I have life going on and he's literally trying to hurt me, it's really hard.
Yeah.
Because there are consequences.
Yeah.
So I still work out even when I'm in training camps, when I'm not in training camps. And like, that's where I fight my demons. People have just sometimes I'm in the gym, like stone faced, like tear rolling down. People looking like, and I'm like, I don't care. I have this reel of very painful, traumatic events going on in my head. And this allows me to get through my life every single day.
Yeah.
I can fuck what everybody thinks around me. Like, you're not going to come to me and say anything. So just stay where you're at. And like, I could feel that like you have life going on. So I'm like, I'm very cautious when I ask people because some people don't want to talk about it. And some people like, they let it all out.
Let it out.
All the kids nowadays call it trauma dumping. I'm like, stop being a little pussy. And like, if somebody wants to like confide in you, like, be there, right? Like, they're trusting you enough to deal with this. Just like sometimes be an ear or like, whatever the case may be. I can't believe you just trauma dumped on me. Now it's mine. I'm like, shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm like, you start explaining to me, hey, I have this going on in my life, relationship, this, that, the third. Like, I'm like, I can tell you hit a plateau, but like your energy levels, just like everything going down. And I gave you a peek into like what we did when we first came. I was like, hey man, do this workout. He's like, that's the first workout we ever did. It's like a year. Yeah. And I was like, just do it. And then you did it for that week. And he's like, oh, that stuff was easy. And I was like, yeah. Remember a year ago when that shit was hard as fuck?
Yeah.
Look how far you've came because you're like, I'm stuck at this one spot. Yeah, you lost 25 pounds. And now you have life fucking hitting you really hard. Yeah. And then you hit another little like progress moment. And I think it was at like 30 something pounds over the course of like 18 months. And then you showed me your before picture and your after picture. And you was like, Moon, look, I don't even know that person. Yeah. And I was trying to tell you like the number on the scale. It wasn't about body fat because at one point in time I was like, oh, she's doing the like I can hear my sisters in my head. She's doing the woman thing.
Yeah.
Lose more weight. I'm like, no. Like, go get a body scan so I can let you know what's going on. And it's like, hey, you lost 10 pounds of body fat. That's a lot. But you gained 4 pounds of muscle. So the scale is only saying 6 pounds. And you're like, I've only lost 6 pounds in 2 months. And I'm like, that's great. Like, we don't need to like lose it really fast because then you'll gain it right back. But building muscle takes time. So if you build the muscle, the body fat will go as long as the nutrition's on point. And we hit that zone and you showed me that before and after. And that like lit my heart up because you were the first client that I worked with consistently for more than like 5 months.
Wow.
And you think that I helped you out.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know how much you helped me out. Because this is a hard thing that people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
As a professional athlete, I don't get paid much until I fight.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thinks you get paid a lot.
Yeah.
So I have to work as an instructor, do all these privates. I'm self-employed. So I have to work for every dollar I got. And there was a time where no one else, all my clients disappeared. All I
Mm-hmm.
had was the little check that I got from training the kids and stuff. And it was not enough to sustain me.
Mm-hmm.
And the checks that you were writing me every month was just enough to pay my rent. And
Oh,
that shit was for like 4 months straight. And I would come back and I
wow.
would tell Lathan, I was like, I got to give her everything I got and more, not because of the monetary aspect of it. Because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like whatever somebody gives me in money, I'm going to give you 10x that.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you, I always told you, I don't want to hold your hand. I'm not looking
Mm-hmm.
for 100 clients. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
fitness, you could do your own gym. No, I want 10 people that are
Yeah.
committed. I can't commit to you more than you commit to yourself. But
Mm-hmm.
when I saw that I knew I could have an impact on you,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this and I'm going to find a way to do this.
Yeah.
And you just stayed the course. So it made me want to help out even more. And then the fact that it also helped me out, I was just like, I got to stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me, he was like, Moon, thank you, because I know one day I'm not going to be able to afford you. Like, I was just like, for right now,
Yeah.
the money wasn't. I'm like, I want to help you out because I see you doing the work. And if I see you helping yourself, I want to help you. But
Mm-hmm.
so many people reach out and they're like, can you help me? I'm like, what have you done to help
Mm-hmm.
yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I looked up. No. What have you done? Not what have you looked up. What have you
Mm-hmm.
planned? What have you done? Well, I'm reaching out to you. Well, cool. Go do this for a month and then come back. That's it? Just drink water and walk? I'm like, yeah, if you can't drink water and walk, you're going to waste my fucking time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very simple.
Mm-hmm.
Walk, water, WW, get out of here. Like, you know? And
Yeah.
like, so like that was big for me because those winter months where like we're closed for all the holidays that hit, the Thanksgiving, the Christmas, the New Year's. I'm like, I'm not teaching classes.
Yeah.
And everybody's out with their families. So all the people who I had my private, I can have
Mm-hmm.
that. And I'm like, we started in November.
Yep.
And like you carried me all the way to the springtime to when I had fights again. And I was like,
Yeah.
the money that you paid me was literally just enough to like cover my rent
I
and
love
stuff
that.
like that. So that was big for me. And I'm like, I have a rule is people over profit.
Mm-hmm.
And the rule is like, be careful how you treat people on your way up because those are
Mm-hmm.
the same people you're going to see on your way down.
Yeah.
You will fall.
Yeah.
And on your way down, the money won't pick you up. People
Mm-hmm.
will. So you got to, and I just remain true to that. And if I have a relationship with somebody, I tell people, I don't discount my services for anyone because
Mm-hmm.
I believe in my value. And if you support me, you would support that,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if I can help you out, I will. I give people thousands of dollars worth of free information every day.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't value free.
Yeah.
They want free, but they don't value free.
Yeah.
Most of my education is fucking free.
Mm-hmm.
Self-diagnosed, research, all this other stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get the certificates to back my knowledge, and then I
Mm-hmm.
learned more. And I got paid and free information, but I learned the most from the shit that I did.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like also a blessing for me. And then when you sent me that before and after, I was like, oh yeah, I was showing
I
my
couldn't
mom, I
believe
was
it.
showing everybody, I was reposting every day. Look,
Yeah.
look, you see this? This
Yeah.
is what consistency looks like. And then, boom,
Yeah.
we get hit with the big one, the big C.
Yeah.
Cancer entered the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And that was big. If you're
Mm-hmm.
comfortable sharing whatever
Yeah.
you can about that, like,
Yeah. All my times are running together. I got diagnosed last year in February,
mhm.
and I was in the best shape of my life. I felt so good.
Yeah.
We were, I don't think we were still training at that point, but I was still working out, and
You
I
were still doing
signed up.
all because you were hitting me up like, hey man, like whatever we can get, even we can't like train one-on-one because our
Right. Can we
schedules got
do
all
like,
crazy. Like, can we do like little consultations?
yep,
You were still working out
yep.
because then you end
Because
up
I was meeting you at Crunch.
yeah.
Yeah. And then I
I have-
signed up for yoga teacher training.
I think that was the first time I said. I'm gonna let
Oh,
you go, but that's the first time I said something where
uh-huh.
I was like, fuck. I normally don't feel bad after telling somebody something, but I had to have a conversation with myself. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I fucking said that. But I
What'd you
remember what it
say?
was. I'll tell you. Go ahead. I
Okay.
remember. I literally. That's a thing in my head. I was like,
Oh.
oh my god, I can't believe I said that.
Well, now I need to know.
But
Okay.
go ahead.
Well, but yeah, I was diagnosed in February, and like initially I just wrote this chapter for my book about my diagnosis. It hit me really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, well, this is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to me. So I signed up for yoga teacher training. I started doing yoga. I was feeling so balanced, and I I didn't want to go conventional, so I did have surgery, but then I tried to heal all naturally,
Mm-hmm.
which still took a toll because it was a lot of driving. I had to go all around Georgia to find all the
You
doctors,
were
and
telling me, it's like, I'm here. I gotta
it
drive 2 or 3 hours here, and then I come back here. It was
yes,
like, oh my god.
I was driving around all Georgia trying to get it. But I was doing really well. I was in remission, and then December it came back bigger than it had, and that one hit me hard.
Yeah.
And so this year I've been through chemo, radiation, a lumpectomy, and now I'm doing oral chemo. I've been doing Keytruda infusions, which have thrown off my thyroid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have like 5 more months of oral chemo, and I'm about to have surgery in 3 weeks. And hopefully that's like the end. But
Yeah.
this year, definitely threw me for a loop. But I remember because I lost a lot of weight, and I
Yeah.
wasn't getting sick on chemo. I
You
I
lost
thought I
so
was
much muscle,
healthy,
but you lost a lot of muscle because
but that's what made me sad. I
yeah, I
remember looking
know.
in the mirror and I was like, God, I really feel like I look good, but oh my God, I'm so weak. I can't like pick up anything. That made me
I
so
still remember the
sad.
day when we got to the gym. And you said, "Moon, look at this," and
I
you like touched your arm.
know.
You was like, "I've never seen this muscle before," and then you did this to your quad. He's like, "These are legs," and I was like,
You remember the calves?
like, it's just
I was
like the calves. I was like, the
calves.
calves. I was like, yeah, but that was what when you started like really getting muscle. Let's
Yeah.
say I think you lost about. Are you comfortable with me
Yeah.
sharing the numbers?
Yeah. Okay.
Like when we first started, it was like 230 something, and
Mm-hmm.
then we got all the way down to like 180 something.
Mm-hmm. My goal was 185, and like
185.
we had finally hit
We
that.
finally hit that. So you think
Yeah.
about that. Okay, 230.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about 45 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's be honest. If I wanted to just run you through the mud and put you on a program where you lost 45 pounds in 6 months, you
Mm-hmm.
might have thought you would have been happy, but I
Mm.
guarantee you, you would have gained that shit back
Yeah.
like nothing. And you
Yeah.
would have had no muscle
Mm-hmm.
because it's not easy to burn fat, but in comparison to building muscle,
Yeah.
it's fucking easy. It's fucking easy. I can tweak your diet, put you in a calorie deficit,
Mm-hmm.
prioritize low repetition, more muscle endurance,
Mm-hmm.
cardio, like these things, low steady state that can help burn fat. I can put you in that, and I can, Lord, don't get me started with big box gyms and their fucking hit training. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They throw a bunch of different workouts together and smoke you for 30 fucking minutes to make sure you can't walk. And then you think because you're fucking sore for 3 days that you're doing something. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is not well constructed. Some are,
Yeah.
but people think that that's what working out is. And then if you
Right.
go and you don't get sore, then you didn't get a good workout. If you legs can't shake, you're not doing a good job. It's like, no, it's a very balanced structure of volume versus intensity.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have the strength, you have to build the strength. And the way by doing that is not by dropping a nuke on the fucking city.
Yeah.
And my mentor, who was my head coach and professor of kinesiology, he told me, he said, Moon, like, bro, you're doing too, and I'm telling you from experience, he's like, bro,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing too fucking much. He's like,
Yeah.
bro, if you want to build strength, like if I drop a nuke on the city
Mm-hmm.
and 2 days later I drop another nuke, there's never any time to clear the rubble and build another building. Like you're dropping nukes on your body every single day. There is no building. You are breaking down.
Yeah.
And I have a picture of me, I'll insert it here. On me cutting weight as an amateur, looking like a fucking skeleton because I just dieted down. Because
Yeah.
as an amateur, I never cut weight before. I didn't know what weight cutting was. I didn't wrestle in high school.
Yeah.
So when they're like, "Oh, you weigh 152 pounds, you're gonna fight at 135," I was like, I was at 135 since I was 12. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then my third fucking fight, I fought at 135. I ran every fucking day. I had a full-time job.
Yeah.
Had to go to work at 9 a.m. I would get up at 6 a.m. to go run 3 to 5 miles, go home, shower, go to work, physical labor job, get off work, go train Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, spar, go home, and I'm doing this shit like, and then like I'm like, oh my god, I'm 145 pounds. How am I gonna lose 7 pounds? Not knowing that it was about water
Yeah.
weight, and I'm eating this raw diet, not prioritizing protein. I did all the wrong shit, so I know fad shit and I know real shit.
Yeah.
So I did the damage to me, so you don't have to do the damage to me. That's why I tell you pay me the big bucks, so you ain't got to go through what I go through. Still have to suffer, but not the way that I did and do it the wrong way. And I remember when you were just like all this stuff, and then when the cancer hit, it was like, boom. You just kept telling me like, I'm losing the weight. And I'm like, it's not weight, because this goes back to when we first started. You're losing weight because you're losing a lot of muscle. You're putting all the stress on your body. You have the surgeries, the recovery. And then I was like, you know, see what you can do, like physically, because I'd hate for you to lose everything. But sometimes it takes you to lose everything in order to kind of rebound. And like kind of walk me through that, because like you're sitting here with a smile. Not that it doesn't hurt, because we talk about it, right? We talk about it like it's not that it doesn't hurt, but you learn to deal with the pain, so you can you kind of get your way through it. How do you deal with it on the daily, or how have you dealt with it to get to a point to where you're like, man, I'm teaching yoga and this, and I'm helping other people out, but I know I still have these other hurdles where I'm still doing chemo and this and that, because some people give up on themselves. You know?
I never got to the point where I felt like I was giving up, but I did have to cocoon for a bit. And so, like, how much did you say you weighed?
Me?
Yeah.
Currently 157, 155.
Okay. Like I'll have to send you my picture from chemo. I got down to 155.
Holy shit.
And it was, I mean, I was skinny, but I had no muscle. And then, since then, gained 40 something pounds. I think I told you I was emotionally eating. So
no, but it's also you're still in the process. Another thing, when you talk about hormones and this chemo and all this other stuff thrown off, thyroid and all that stuff, is like, is a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So like,
well, and I know that it's mentally knowing where I was last year and how good I felt.
The past is gone.
I know.
Past is gone.
But it can get, so how do I deal with it? I journal a lot. I'm writing a book about my journey. We had coffee the other day, and I told you, like, you kicked my ass in gear because I was talking about my food. And you're like, Ember, 80% whole foods. And I'm like, what? And you're like, 80% whole foods, water. And I thought, oh God, I forgot how simple this is.
I give you $1,000 worth of advice that day, but I also fucking laid into you. Hey man, stop telling me what you're gonna do. I'm tired of hearing what you're gonna do. And like, do you want to hear the thing that I remember telling you in the gym?
I do.
And I still think about it, because it was harsh to say, and I didn't apologize.
I don't think you offended me, because I don't remember.
I didn't, because you looked at me. I think it was the delivery. It was how I said it, because I told you I'm a person that thinks of death every single day.
Yeah.
So if I die tomorrow, cool. If I got cancer today, I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna still go teach the like.
Yeah.
You was like, cancer had gone the first time. We got back to working out because we were at Crunch. We weren't at the gym at your apartment, and something was off. I'm like, what's going on? And you got really emotional. You start crying. It's like, I found out that the cancer's back, and I was like, fuck. Like, when I think of inspirational shit to say, I'm not thinking like, what can I say to make her feel better?
Yeah.
I'm talking out of how, like, I genuinely feel.
Yeah.
And I looked at you like you were a fighter, because you are. And like, what I do is a very small portion of my life. I have way bigger battles outside the cage than everybody sees me. I'm like, man, I put underwear on, go fight in front of 5,000 people and live on stage. And then I go back in the real world and I fight real life fucking monsters. So y'all think that's scary? You don't want to walk, certain people's life. My life might be scary to some people. Your life is terrifying to some people, but you're still here talking about it.
Yeah.
And like, I remember he's like, yeah, I got cancer. And he's like, man, this, that, and the third. And I was like, all right, so we're going to like do this next workout? Like, we're going to like finish? And I was like, I said something along the lines of, I actually came home and recorded the video of actually what I said. Because I started questioning myself. And I was like, holy fuck, I got to record this because I'm going to send this to her later. So I'll send it to you later. And I was like, I looked at you and I kind of like furrowed my face. I was like, were you going to live forever? And I was like, were you afraid cancer was going to kill you? And then I was like, Ember, you're going to die anyway. Let's make the best of it.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't come from a place of like, you shouldn't be scared. I was just like, yo, you paying me for this workout.
Yeah.
Let's take advantage of this time. Like, you were going to do this workout regardless if you had cancer or not. And then I got back home. I said, that might have been a little insensitive, but you received it well because I just saw at that moment you were like, I can't believe I got to deal with this again.
I was in it.
And I've never went through cancer. I've had family members go through cancer. I've had family members pass from cancer. But it reminded me of, I got into a car accident. I had back surgery.
Yep.
I couldn't walk straight. I had to rehab my body. I couldn't lift nothing heavier than 20 pounds. I remember when I finally got back to working out. Then I got back to fighting at a good level.
Yeah.
Then I got into a second car accident. And I had a second back surgery. And I remember after the second back surgery, and I was like, I got to do this shit all over again. Like, I can't believe it. And then I thought about it. I was like, but you remember exactly what it took to get through the first one.
Yeah.
Like, so you're already like, you're not starting the race at 100 meters. You're starting it maybe at 20 meters. You got 80 yards to run because now you have the knowledge. You got a head start.
Yeah.
You know everything you got to do to get there quicker.
Yeah.
Not that quicker. It has to be quicker. And then it was like, well, why does it have to be quicker? I'm a professional athlete. So I'm like, oh, I got to get back in there. That was my mindset. It's like, that was like my message to you is like, we weren't going to live forever anyway.
Right.
So like, are we going to finish the workout? And then I was like, damn, that's a little bit insensitive, but I can't take, you got to be careful what you say. But we have had a relationship for over 2 years. Jiu-Jitsu, strength training, nutrition. Like, I saw you struggle. And I tell people the beautiful thing about martial arts, the reason why I read people's body language and I can differentiate when somebody's talking and I'm like, bullshit, 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 liar, liar, full of shit, ego, scared, fear, insecurity. Cool. Now I know who you really are.
Yeah.
And then I see you on the mat and I can see you struggling. Now I see how you really act when you struggle.
Yeah.
So I know who you are more in depth after 6 months of seeing you struggle than any profile or any interview or anything I can know you for 6 months and we can be cool and we're going to do things that we like together. We're going to hang out. We're going to do this, that, and the third. You come into my academy and within the first 6 months, I'm going to see you get mounted, somebody choking you out. Do you fight back when your life is on the line? Somebody punches you. Do you furl up or do you hit back? Are you only seeing red? Do you diagnose? Are you overthinking? What's your insecurities? Do you only roll good when the instructors are watching you? Do you only pick the easy rounds? I'm figuring all this shit out.
Yeah.
I'm in constant assessment mode because as a professional fighter, when I go in the cage, everything is data intake. But then it's execution. So when I see that kid is going with the other kid and he just can't, I'm like, all right, everybody get back up. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hey, you pair up with this kid. Like, I need you to like not get crushed. And then I'm like, okay, I need you to pair up with a kid you can crush, give you a little bit of confidence. Then the crusher's looking around for somebody to crush. I'm like, nah, you go with that kid. Like, yeah. He's like, oh shit, yup, that's right. You're used to being the bully.
Yeah.
Now you got to get a taste of it. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. And like the kids, I can navigate that way because kids wear their emotions on their sleeve.
Yeah.
Like as
I think I do too. That's why you were so good at it.
Yeah, so it's good, but like adults try and hide.
No, but I mean that's why I feel like you could read me so well and what made you such a good trainer because you would push me or say things like that to pull me out of my spiral.
That's wild.
But
I still I say
for real. Like, because I need that, but then when I'm truly, truly hurting or truly, truly, you could see that I was like at my wit's end.
Yeah.
You didn't push me as hard. You were like, okay, you need to walk and you'd back up. And so it's like you knew me so well that you said things like that. I never got offended, so I didn't even remember that.
I appreciate that, keeping it real.
Actually, now that you say that, I feel like we were picking up kettlebells.
Yeah, we were.
And I was like,
I had you pushing. Remember? I was like, all right, you're going to do this, and you're going to push this sled all the way down and back.
Yeah.
And I only had to do like 3 times, but I know how tiring it is at the end of the workout. I was like, you're going to do this. And then you got all the way to the end. You're like, oh, I got to push it. Come back. Like, let's go.
I remember feeling like I wasn't moving because I'm like, No. We were also, though, there was something with the kettlebells because I don't remember what you were saying, but I do remember thinking, I cannot believe I just told him that and he's making me do this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Like,
Because
but
normally you're like, anything that I see you trying to shy away from, I'm like, that's what we're going to do. That's exactly what we're going to do.
stair
Stair
stepper.
stepper. Yeah, here we go. Can I
Yeah.
go walk on the treadmill? No. Go get on the stair stepper. Like, you want the
The
legs again, right? You
elliptical.
want the legs. No, you want all the easy shit.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, if we really, do you want it or do you kind of want it?
Mhm.
So it's like, you kind of want it. You
Yeah.
want it without the hard work. So you don't fucking want it,
I know,
right?
yeah.
You don't want it, right? It's like relationship. Like, I want them to want me.
Mhm.
Like, if you want that, put the effort into it.
Yeah.
Show me you want it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you're telling me you want it. And after enough of hearing this, I'm like, I don't give a fuck what you're saying. Go do it.
Yeah.
And that was kind of our last, we had a couple coffee shop meetings.
Mhm.
One after you had the chemo, he's like, I'm coming out, but I'm ready, I'm wearing my scarf.
Yeah.
Come on. We met at Woodlands.
Yep.
And you was like, all right,
I'm going to do
I'm
it.
going to do it. And you did it, but
Yeah.
life happens. Stuff happens again.
Radiation was hard
Yeah.
for me.
I can only imagine that it was hard. And do you expect life to be easy?
No.
All right. So if life is hard
Mhm.
and you know it's going to be hard,
Mhm.
how do you combat that?
You just get out and do the things.
Do the things, right?
Yeah. And that's what you told me last time. So I did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I started walking again. I haven't quite made it to the weight thing, but I started working on my book and I signed up for a writing class with a professional. And it's like, okay, I've been talking about this book
How
for
long
3
you been
years.
telling me you gonna write that book? And then you was like, yeah, and I'm doing this. And what? And you asked me about 3 different books that I read over the
Yeah.
years. Like, oh, I'm gonna add that to my list. I said, no. I said, stop it. Stop adding shit to your list. How many of these books have you applied? And he was like, I said, exactly. Like, I said, what are you telling me you're gonna do? Write a book. Go write a book. And like, I'm being a smartass, but in a receptive manner.
Yeah.
And then we left that day, and then I get a message like a week later. You're like, I already published the first X amount. This one's getting reviewed, and I was like, winning.
Yeah.
That's you flexing. When you can't flex your body, flex your mind.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. You're going through all this pain. One of the worst things you can do is wait till you're out of the journey to record it. Go
Yeah.
through it.
Yeah.
Write down what. I wrote a death note today to myself.
Mm.
It's something I always felt like I had to do. And I think about death every day. And it can be considered a touchy subject. It wasn't necessarily like suicidal. It was just like the thoughts of death and why you think of this and why you don't choose these ways. Because I talked with a friend yesterday and they was like, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and we were talking about the game and all this stuff. And they was like, I said, man, you know how many choices in my life I had to be, you know how many times in my life I had the choice to be a bad person, a drug dealer, a fucking thief, a this, a that. Like, I could have done this so many times because of my circumstances. And I chose the way harder thing to do.
Yeah.
The hard path. You grow up in the hood, people selling the drugs. It's very easy to fucking fall victim. I was like, you know how many times I've been offered? And I was just like, no, I'm such a control freak. I want to be in control of me. I don't want to lose who I am to a substance because that's not me.
Yeah.
Have I experimented or did something? Like everybody does that when they're young. You're a victim of your environment, your peer pressure, all the stuff like that. But I just made the choices. I had all the choices to make all the times to make the bad choices, but I chose not to. And choosing not to do something is just as powerful as it is choosing to do something.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap it up. I always do a book recommendation, so I'm gonna do a quick book recommendation. Let me do this so this doesn't. Quick book recommendation. After you're done reading the last book that I recommended, you should read this. You see how small it is?
Okay, yeah.
Very simple. I told my mom to read this book. I tell anybody who is aspiring to succeed in any direction, no matter what it is, career-wise, life-wise. It's called Go for No. Yes is the destination, but no is how you get there.
Do you want to know something funny about that?
You read it already?
No, this is my year. You know how people choose a word?
Uh-huh.
Mine is saying no. No to anything that's not a hell yes. That's like my theme for the year.
I like that. No to anything that's not a hell yes.
Yeah.
All right. So this is a great book. I'll just go off of one line off the book. I'm really big on like visualizing things and seeing things. So when I see like doodles or pictures, like I like to draw stuff. It's like people think that failure is in this way and success is that way. And it's like, no, failure is on the way to success. So we always get like broken down when we fail at something. And it's like, no, you should be failing because this is the way to success. So the more failures you have, the more successes you have. So it's like, it's not in the opposite direction. So like, if you want more yeses, get more no's. If I went out and I was selling a product and I got 1,000 no's, I probably sold some products.
Yeah.
But if you stop at the first yes, you're going to be broke. So
true.
Go for no. That is pretty much it. Like I said, the guests might not be special to you guys, but they're special to me. And that was awesome.
Thank you.
And be on the lookout.
Thank you.
Her book will be out this year.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
Hope.
Well, if I go with a publisher, it takes a while, but it'll be done and it'll be in a publisher.
It
will be completed and it will be on its way to you.
Hope it's completed.
Right.
It will be completed.
Oh, it will be completed for sure.
You heard that. It will be completed.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. It was awesome.
Thank you so much. It was
My
good.
pleasure.
Yes.